If you're trapped under an avalanche, spitting can help you out. As soon as you stop moving, make a little hole around your face. Spit in the air pocket and see where gravity carries your saliva. Then start making your way out by digging in the opposite direction. If suddenly you notice that the water recedes quickly and unexpectedly from a beach, exposing the ocean floor, you should warn everyone around and get away as fast as you can. Because when the waterline is abnormally far from the shore, this is a sign of a tsunami. No air pump and a flat tire is a bad combo when you're far from home. To fix your bike, grab a bunch of grass or leaves and evenly pack the tire with as much as possible. That will be enough to reach a safe place. Now, do you know any other tricks to fix a flat tire without an air pump? Share your wisdom in the comments below. If you're under attack by a moose, those creatures are huge, try to hide behind a tree. Those animals have a blind spot in their peripheral vision, so they will lose you and you can escape easier. If a black bear is chasing you, remember that you shouldn't turn your back on this animal or try to run. Either of these actions can make them hostile. Your best bet is to lie flat on your stomach to protect your organs, crossing your hands behind your neck to guard your arteries to convince the bear you don't pose any threat. Also, don't climb a tree. They do it better than you. Oh, and if you see Yogi Bear, don't try to look like a picnic basket. He'll steal you every time. In case of emergency water landing, don't inflate your life jacket before getting out of the plane. You'll end up not being able to move without help since you'll float up to the cabin ceiling. The safest thing to do is take a deep breath and swim out of the airplane, taking your deflated life jacket with you. Only when you're out of the plane you can finally pull the inflation cord. If you're in a cold house and no heating or electricity is available for some reason, find a few large bricks, a terracotta pot, and some candles. Light the candles and put the bricks around them. Then cover the candles with an upside-down pot, placing it on the bricks. Now you have a DIY heater that can heat a whole room. If you hear the security announcement while traveling by plane and the emergency exits are made known, be sure to count how many rows it will take to get to the closest one. If the plane gets filled with smoke, or there's no light during the evacuation, you could count the number of headrests until you reach your exit. Your pre-planned counting could also help others get out. If in an emergency you need to get through a locked door, kick hard right next to the handle near the lock and avoid using your shoulders or back. The lock will break more easily. Not running away from a pack of wolves might sound like a very bad idea, to say the least, but it will, in fact, eventually make them back off. Their instinct is to chase their prey. If you stand your ground, they probably won't risk it. If you see it's getting alarmingly crowded, try to find possible escape routes and places to cover around you, and have more than one direction of movement in mind. Don't try to move against the crowd, but go with it and to the side instead. This way, you'll reach the edge of the stampede and possibly the escape or cover you noticed before. Keep your hands up at all costs. They'll make you room to breathe. Look at the parked car before driving. If you see frost on the rear windows, well, that's a big clue. So plan ahead and drive accordingly. For example, your stopping distance should be around 10 times longer than usual. If the car is skidding, don't hit the brakes hard, just take your foot off the accelerator. It will help your car to find grip with the road again, and then you can gently steer it to the right side. Try to wear 3 layers of clothes. The first layer should repel sweat, the second is for insulation and general warmth, and the external layer should protect from moisture and wind. Avoid wearing cotton as it gets wet pretty soon and won't protect you from cold. If you came home after spending lots of time in the cold, don't rush for a hot tub. It's best to start with changing clothes and eating warm food. Stay inside, but as far away from windows as you can. Debris is much more dangerous than the wind itself, and it will break windows easily. If you're the kind to stock up, don't buy lots of candles. Open fire is the last thing you want in your house during a hurricane. If you feel the hurricane suddenly calm down, don't go out. You may be in the eye of the storm, and the wind will return shortly. If you're outside when it hits, don't run into a building. Find the most open space you can and stay there, away from trees, traffic lights, and signs. If you're in the building, then don't run outside. Cover your nose and mouth with a piece of fabric. This way you'll be able to breathe with any of the dust around. Find a corner of the building away from windows and cover yourself behind a sturdy piece of furniture. The SOS signal is 3 short flashes or sounds, 3 long ones, and then 3 short ones again. Then repeat. If you don't have a light source, use any mirroring object in sunlight. Aim the reflection at the side you think help may come from. Alternatively, use a whistle. Burnt wet greenery to create a lot of smoke without a huge fire. Fire will attract much more attention in the night when smoke is less visible. Hope you never need to use any of this, but hey, it's always best to be prepared. If you're lost in the wilderness and need to go fishing, you can use a can tab. Shape it in the form of a hook. Cut it at a slant and trim off the metal to make it look like an actual hook. The main thing is to create a sharp point. A can also become a makeshift cooker. Take a can and cut out a hole from the side. Put some kindling inside and set it on fire. You can fry an egg on top of it. Dental floss can be super handy for surviving in the wilderness. First, use it as a fishing line together with a can tab hook. It can also serve as a clothesline stretched between 2 trees. It's thin, yet a single strand can hold up to 5 pounds. You can make a spear by binding a long stick and a knife together with dental floss. It's also quite flammable, so if you don't have any kindling to set larger pieces of wood on fire, try burning it. Dental floss can also be great makeshift shoelaces. A simple plastic bottle can make a very strong rope if you have a good knife. First, you need to find a small stump. It should have a diameter about the same as your bottle. Make a slit across the middle of the stump. Then cut a notch out of the stump large enough for your knife blade to fit inside. Cut off the bottleneck and make a small notch on its edge. Its width depends on the rope width you want. Place the edge of the bottle inside the center slit and put the knife in the notch in the stump with the blade towards the slit. Start slowly dragging the bottle through the slit. You'll see the bottle spin. As it spins, the blade will cut out the rope. You can use it to build a hut because it can secure logs really well. Now, a human can go several days without food, but there's no way we can survive without water. Water in the wild can be delicious sometimes, but if you feel like it's not safe to drink, you may need a makeshift water filter. Start with a fire. Boiling water may not be enough, so as soon as the fire ashes are cold, grind them to a powdery consistency. Don't use charcoal you randomly found in the forest. You never know what's in there. Then you need a plastic bottle. Cut off the bottom and make a hole in the cap. Turn it upside down, put in some charcoal, 3 inches are enough, and pour the water over it. The dripping water is ready to drink. To catch any excess charcoal, wrap the cap with a piece of clean cloth for extra filtration. Okay, you're getting hungry and you probably need to start a fire. Dang, you just don't have any matches or a lighter. Empty your pockets to see if you can make a makeshift fire starter. If you have a battery, probably the one from your flashlight, and a gum wrapper, that's enough. You need to cut a thin strip of the foil wrapper, yet long enough to connect the 2 ends of the battery. The middle of the strip should be slimmer than the ends. Get closer to the pile of dry grass, small logs, or even some paper, whatever you're going to use to start your fire. The foil strip will ignite in seconds, setting the kindling on fire. Mosquitoes are a real pain, and there are loads of them in the woods. You can make your own DIY repellent to keep those bad guys away. All you need is an orange, a lemon, or any other citrus fruit that's full of essential oils. Peel an orange and rub the peel directly on your skin, crumpling it a bit beforehand to make those precious essential oils come out. One more useful way of keeping mosquitoes at bay is to add a few orange peels to your tinder. While burning, the essential oils will release and frighten those pesky guys away. If you're falling from a cliff, do your best to break your way down to several parts. The shorter the better. Each of the segments will absorb some impact of the fall, and you'll have much higher chances of surviving. Try to grab onto a sturdy object like a bush or a rock on your way to the bottom to slow down your movement. A piece of wood or a plank can also be useful. It might help you to soften your fall when you hit the ground. If your pan has caught fire, don't take it outside or try to put the fire out with water. It'll worsen the situation. Cover the flames with a metal lid. This way, you'll take away the source of oxygen. Your movement should be fast but smooth and calm. Remember to keep the lid between yourself and the flames. Leave it on until the pan has cooled. If a fire is tiny and manageable, you can use salt or baking soda to put it out. By the way, using baking powder, flour, and other cooking powders that look like salt or baking soda is a big no-no. They won't help you because their chemical makeup is different. If you find yourself in a panic-stricken crowd, your main task is to create some space around yourself. To do it, keep your hands by your chest, your arms bent at the elbow. Boxers often use this position to protect their vital organs. Don't cross the crowd's path. Move together with it, slowly drifting toward one of its sides. Be careful not to block anyone's way because, in this case, you can be pushed to the ground. If you're with your family, put the kid on your shoulders and let the weaker members of the family go in front of you. This way, you'll be able to control the movement and won't lose anyone. If someone's attacking you from behind on the street, stomp on their foot. Do it with all the strength you have and aim for the top of the foot. It can damage and even break several foot bones, which will make it difficult for the attacker to follow you. Now, if you get locked in a car trunk, try to send an SOS signal to people outside. To do it, look for the taillight's wires. There are usually at least 2 of them for each light. Find something sharp in the trunk and cut one of those wires. When you connect the ends again, the lights will flash. If your car brakes suddenly stop responding, ask the passengers, if you have any, to make sure their seatbelts are buckled. Then turn on the emergency lights. Inform other drivers you're having an emergency by using your car horn and long-range lights. With strong and abrupt moves, press the brake pedal. That's how you can create pressure in the braking system. After that, downshift carefully and put the gear shift into the L position. If your car has a mechanical gearbox, press the clutch pedal. After that, use manual brakes, but do it very slowly. A sudden movement and your car will begin to drift. To slow your car down, you can also try to turn left and right going from one row to another. If you've fallen through ice into freezing water, try to get back to the edge of the ice. Don't pull yourself out by grabbing it. The edge will keep breaking and you'll exhaust yourself in no time. Kick your legs until your body is positioned horizontally in the water. After that, get out of the water and onto the ice like a seal. Once you've made it there, don't stand up. Remain spread out. This way your weight will be distributed over a larger area. Then the ice will be less likely to break. Suppose you're inside a swiftly flooding ship and you need to swim through a long corridor to get to the upper deck. First, stay calm because panic takes away a lot of oxygen, and don't put your life vest on just yet. You'll need to dive, and the vest will keep you afloat instead. Now, stretch your lungs before diving. Take a relaxed position, breathe calmly for a minute, and then hold your breath until you feel uncomfortable. Start breathing again for a full minute, then hold again. Breathe in as deeply as possible. Repeat it 3 times. I know, our ship is sinking and there isn't so much time. But these several minutes might save your life in the end. If you're still beside yourself, make it 20 seconds instead of a minute. Now that your lungs are in shape, you're ready to dive. Try to swim as close to the surface as possible. The deeper you dive, the more difficult it is to hold your breath. It would also help if you didn't eat 2 to 3 hours before swimming. Food digestion consumes part of the oxygen. Yeah, you couldn't have predicted that there would be such a need, but you can always eat less while sea traveling. Yeah, right, with 8 buffets a day on the ship. Okay, you've reached the upper deck safely, put on a life vest at last, jumped into the water, and are now swimming towards the boats or staying still to keep your energy and wait for rescuers. Suddenly, you notice land in the distance, and it seems not too far off. But before you start swimming towards it, stop and think a little. If you've ever heard about mirages, yeah, like those in the desert, that just might be it. In clear weather, you can see the shore from 4 miles away from your position in the water, but it might look much closer. Don't try to swim there yourself. Most likely, you won't succeed and get stuck somewhere in the middle, exhausted. And even worse, rescuers will have a hard time finding you. So, you're waiting now. Modern life vests have a beacon that lights up automatically as soon as you jump into the water. This beacon helps rescuers find you. If you got a vest without it, then you need to shout and wave your hands, but only if you notice the rescue team. Still no signs of them, huh? Well, lifeboats are full, the ship is completely sunk, and you're very cold. Don't panic. Look around and find other people like you swimming in their vests. Unite in groups and snuggle together. This way, you'll keep warm and it'll be more fun to wait for help in general. Moreover, a large group of people is better seen from a helicopter. Now, you've done everything necessary to save your life. Now you only have to wait for help. Helicopters arrive and evacuate you an hour later. You return home and decide to go on a hot air balloon trip. But that's a completely different story. Oh, by the way, if you were waiting for the part where the sharks try to eat you while you were waiting for rescue, I didn't want to load you down with too much, especially with that spinning buzzsaw cargo that's floating your way. We'll save those for another time.